So for platooning, we have a very clear description in our sales agreement with the fleets. And so some of you may have seen our sales agreement, most of you haven't. We make very clear the capabilities of the system and the responsibilities of the driver. The system will, what we warrant and guarantee is that rear truck is going to react to the front truck no matter what. And any action by the front truck, meaning no matter how hard the front driver applies the brakes, the rear truck will react in time, and we will ensure the rear truck does not hit the front truck. That is the basic safety functionality of platooning. Beyond that, we don't warrant that the driver isn't going to steer off the road or perform other dangerous actions. But we warrant that the platooning function itself will be safe. And maybe, I know it wasn't quite the question. The question was what happens if there's an accident? I want to touch briefly on some of the typical sort of failure cases people think about for platooning. One of them was in the video, which is the cut-in by a car between the trucks. We automatically detect that, and we react by backing the rear truck away, slowing down the rear truck to make space. Then the rear driver can press a button to re-engage and pull back in. Another one people ask about a lot is what if there's a tire blowout on the front truck or other cases like that where the front truck decelerates rapidly. The reality is any deceleration like that, it may be jarring when there's a blowout. It's actually much less deceleration than what you can do by applying the brakes. So the rear truck will react to that. We'll keep that gap just fine. Part of the reason we're able to do that is we look at the braking abilities of the two trucks. So we make sure the better braking truck is in the back. That is a huge safety increase over the situation today, where your drivers are following behind someone. It's a big white box in front of them. They don't know the braking capabilities of that truck. So anyway, a little bit about the safety side. In our specific case of platooning, if the rear truck failed to react, which it's not going to, but that would be on us. That's absolutely our liability, and we're making sure that does not happen. That's why we're working with the brake suppliers, why we're doing a lot of testing of various types, going through a full safety process. But that would be on us. Anything else is unrelated to platooning.
Anyone else?
So I would say, I look at it sort of two different ways. In the short term, with the Inspiration truck, we're operating under very controlled circumstances. We have a safety plan in place with the state of Nevada. We have a lead vehicle and a follow vehicle that are outside of the autonomous vehicles. We have two drivers actually who are in the vehicle at all times. We're both the manufacturer and the operator. So for those type of situations, if something goes wrong with the technology, then we'd be responsible. But we also have an electronic data recorder that measures 60 seconds before, or that stores data after an accident to sort of help determine who's at fault, because the regular traffic rules still apply. If a driver's at fault, obviously, they're going to be responsible, and if the equipment's at fault, we'd be responsible. But I look at it for the long-term picture, and I say we don't have to answer the question today, which is why I prefaced my comments earlier with I don't have all the answers. It gives me an out for every question. But we don't have to answer the question today. What we have to do is get to a point where the technology reduces the number of accidents, reduces the number of deaths on the road. And if we do that, if we cut the number of accidents down in half, then the total pie of liability is greatly reduced. And then we will figure out how to divide that liability, whether it's through whether it's manufacturers taking more responsibility but charging for that, whether it's insurance companies giving reductions for people having the technology. There's lots of ways we can accomplish we can sort out the liability picture as long as we get to the point where we're reducing accidents and saving lives.
Yeah, so I would say, like it or not, there's actually a system in place today for dealing with any kind of malfunction or accident that would happen. And so if you look at it, we could just apply the same rules going forward. You look at where does the fault start. And so if there was a giant sinkhole in the road that happened, 300 milliseconds before the truck got there, then maybe the road designer is actually at fault for that. I don't know, we'll find out. If the vehicle catches on fire and blows up, well, maybe the vehicle manufacturer is at fault. If the technology malfunctions and gets into collisions, then the technology manufacturer is at fault. If the driver fails to do something that they should be doing, then the driver's at fault. So there's ways of doing that. At the end of the day, we're going to figure out on a case by case through litigation, like who actually was at fault for this specific incident. But I just think of it as it's more of a, we have a system in place today, it works fairly well, and it's now we have actually more data, so we're going to be able to look more clearly at what actually happened and who was actually at fault.